Are we on?
Yep, we're good to go.
Okay, so welcome back to SEO for Hire. This is episode number 2. And today our guest is Liam Quirk, who has made quite a name for himself in the SEO industry lately. Liam has worked in SEO from his first job as an apprentice to now owning and running Quirky Digital, which is a successful SEO agency based in Liverpool. It's been up and running for about a year and a half now. Welcome to the podcast, Liam.
Yeah, cheers for having me, lads. It's a nice introduction as well. Nice introduction, being called successful. Yeah, all good. It's an extremely busy time for the industry at the minute, so we're thriving, to be honest. And I think most of the people in the industry are, which obviously that makes life a lot busier. But I'd rather be busy than doing nothing, for sure.
Absolutely. And we'll get in to the start. So Liam, how did you first get into SEO? What was it that first got you interested? Like you said, so you started off in SEO like at the very start of your job career, yeah?
Yeah, it's right. So how I got into SEO, it's quite a weird story. So I've known, basically from when I was the age of 13 or 14, I knew that I wanted to get into some sort of IT related job. When I was 13, 14, I didn't have a clue what SEO was. I thought, I'll just be like an IT support nerd or something. And that was what I was planning to do. I even thought I might do IT support in the army, which, as you can imagine, my parents weren't too best pleased with that. So you get to that age, don't you, when you're in school and you're in high school, and then you have all sorts of meetings with like education coordinators, people who take you on to further learning. And I just said to them, right, I want to get into IT of some sort. And he was like, right, go away and start looking at some potential careers for you. And at this stage, this was probably around 2013, 2014. So digital marketing was when it was really starting to get going. Looked online, seeing digital marketing. I understood what web design was. And then obviously I come across, essentially I went into digital marketing before I went into SEO. I actually had my uncle is in the industry and he's been doing SEO for years. So when I seen SEO crop up on these, these job descriptions, I was like, I know what that is. And I know that he makes quite a lot of money as well. So I thought, right, I'll give this a go. And I started to actually learn about digital marketing and SEO while I was still in high school.
How did you learn?
Probably lots of YouTube stuff, basically. So loads and loads of YouTube videos. There's a forum that I'm sure you guys are aware of called Black Hat World. And I just saw that when I was younger, and it was just full of people from all parts of the world giving out all these tips. I first started to learn about SEO, and then I actually started.
No, Neil Patel. Sorry, there's a delay in this call, I think, for me. Apologies for interrupting you. Sorry, man.
No worries. Well, obviously Neil Patel. That's something that I come across when I joined an SEO agency. But for me, I was always, I'd watch people's videos and I would always think, what's the next step to this? What if we tried this? And by going into these forums like Black Hat World, that's what that was full of. It was full of full walkthrough guides, things to follow. So I started actually building my own websites before I actually got a job. And I started, testing shit, as they say. And just as soon as I left school, I literally went straight into an apprenticeship, which was...
And how did you find out about the apprenticeship? Were you just looking up SEO in your area, or did you hear word of mouth, or what was it?
So I actually got myself onto a digital marketing course, which basically that was the face of the apprenticeship, but you had to do the course in order to get an apprenticeship. So I probably done 3 or 4 months worth of training, and then they found me. They sent me off to do lots and lots of job interviews. Some were for SEO agencies, some were client-side jobs, and I was finding it really tough, to be honest. So I was probably, out of my whole cohort on my digital marketing course, I was the youngest by quite a while. So there were actually people on the course that had university degrees. There were people that had, some people had A-levels, some people had previous experience in the industry. And then there was me with, a couple of GCSEs, but I understood the subject. I was passionate about it. And I managed to actually, they put me in touch with a guy who ran an e-commerce retailer. They used to sell like hiking equipment. So they were based in Liverpool as well. During there, started off, doing the grunt work, writing product descriptions, all that types of stuff. And then a few months later, I think I joined the business in November or December, and then it got to April, and the company was sold, and I was made redundant. So I was back at square one.
Yeah.
What about the training though? Did you get a lot of value from the training? So we said it was 3-4 months. Is that right?
Yeah. It was. To be honest, I learned absolutely nothing about digital marketing and SEO. A lot of it was to do with IT support. That's what that was probably the closest thing I actually learned on the digital marketing course, digital marketing, because it was such a new subject. So I probably taught myself more about digital marketing than I found on them courses. But what I would say now is, within my business, I've got an apprentice that I've took on recently. And they've actually, as the industry's become, it's become more known, there are more career paths for people. The lad who works for me, Ben, he's on a digital marketing course now. And he learned stuff about SEO, which makes me second think what I'm doing sometimes. So they've actually got, really high skilled trainers, teaching these things. And sometimes he comes to me with stuff that I've never heard of before, which is strange, but it's much more advanced now.
I did a course. It was SQA, and it was a digital marketing course, and it was such a waste of time. The biggest load of rubbish I've ever been to, and you could have passed it without doing any work. I learned nothing. If anything, it just bored me to tears. And that would put me off hiring an apprentice. It really would. Based on the people I've seen in that course and what I learned there, like we were doing stuff that we had like one graphic design unit, and it was making circles in Photoshop. It was so silly. It's the stuff you would do in like secondary school, not even that, maybe primary school. So that really put me off. I don't think I would hire an apprentice. It really did put me off. So you've had quite a bit of luck with this new guy. You said he's called Ben.
That's right. Yeah. So he's you have got it with apprenticeships. It's people who are fresh out of school or they're fresh out of college. So you do have to, you do have to go through quite a bit, rigorous interviewing people. I interviewed a lot of people for this role. And I wasn't looking for somebody who was experienced. You can't expect people to be experienced in SEO. It was just finding somebody who had similar values to me and someone who was willing to learn. And that was the first thing I looked for. And some of the things that when you're speaking to a young person, if they've got their head screwed on and if they're ambitious, and that's all I was really looking for. And there was a few people that stood out that were like that. But I feel as if you've just got to, you've got to navigate your way through doing all these interviews, and you've got to ask the right types of questions. I'm quite fortunate in the fact that I am still quite young and I still understand. I'd be able to understand if somebody who's younger is motivated or not. I know what motivates them people. Whereas let's say if I was, 20, 30 years older, you wouldn't really know how to ask the right types of questions.
Sorry, just take us through the interview process. So when you're hiring people, do you just advertise on your own website or through word of mouth, or do you go through LinkedIn, Indeed.com? And then after that, once you do get a pool of candidates that you think suit the job, is it a video interview? Is it a phone interview? Do you meet up with them if they're in the area? Or
yeah, so the way it worked with us was obviously we use, I think the majority of digital marketing apprenticeships are the same. Obviously, you use different trainer providers. So we use a company based down in Birmingham, and it's all online. They just specialize specifically in digital marketing apprenticeships. And what they do is they actually do the recruitment process for you. So they put the adverts up on the National Apprenticeships website, and they put the adverts up, and that's where most people apply. That's why people look for apprenticeships. They advertise on Google Jobs. They do all the recruitment for you. Obviously, we've done a bit of our own. We've done our own social media posts about it. Didn't really get much from it. So the training company would, they'd screen all the different candidates for you to make sure that they're eligible for the course and they're eligible for the funding. And then once that was done, we'd be sent through the best candidates really, and we probably sent through probably between 25 and 30 different candidates, and I chose to interview. I think I offered interviews to 10 of them. I think it was to 10 of them, and it was some of them were done through Zoom. It was actually through COVID. This, and it's quite annoying you saying it, but I said to people, you can either do it through video, or if you want to come into the office, you're more than welcome to do it as well. And I feel as if when I in particular, I felt more comfortable interviewing somebody face to face. I got to learn more about them, and I felt that it worked well. It's it's a good process. It's a good process.
Have you looked at anything like DISC, like personality assessments or anything like that?
It's stuff that I've become aware of as I've grew my business. But to start off with, I just recruited based on the types of questions that I was asking. But as since I've started doing work for a HR company recently, these things have become more prevalent. As we're writing more content for them about how to recruit and retain the right type of people. This is where I've actually learned about the recruitment process. So I suppose that's the beauty of being an SEO, is that you have so much information about loads of different subjects.
Completely random stuff that we probably will never use, but the DISC stuff's interesting. I find that interesting. We've started incorporating different DISC questions into our interview process just to filter people out, because if you do a job, and indeed just now in SEO, you get I did one just now, content writer in Manchester, and I think we got 140 applicants. So filtering them out is time consuming. So something we've been looking at. But what I'm curious about, you spoke about the first few websites you built. What were they? Were they affiliate sites? Were they just random websites you built, or?
Yeah, so types of campaigns that I started off working on, they were basically a lot of them were informational based websites. So they were like local businesses, but it was supplying information. So it could probably the first one I done was lots and lots of information about like teeth whitening. Okay. So I don't know why I thought that was a subject which was becoming more popular, and especially in the area that I'm from, loads of people were getting teeth whitening. And if you typed in like teeth whitening Wirral, teeth whitening Liverpool, nobody was really advertising for it. So I thought I'd test myself by creating these websites through producing, just writing loads of information. It was actually me writing the content, just messing about, building citations, that type of stuff. And funnily enough, I actually still have them websites to this day. So I've got like a teeth whitening website, a lip fillers website. So them two are actually, I've renting them out at the minute. They're actually generating leads for people. So they were the first websites I ever built, and they were just test websites to test stuff.
So what drove you back then, like to do that? Because I remember when I started, I was a sucker. I would just plan things. I'd see different ideas and I'd go and plan it, build it, and I would never actually do it. And it took me a few years before I actually stuck it out. So the fact you built one and you still have it to this day, like, what was driving you back then?
Yeah, so there's two sides of it. So obviously, with the type of person I am, is just like, if I get an idea, I go with it, and I just go with it and take it as far as I can. That's the type of person I am. But I've probably over the years built in excess of 30 websites, and there's probably 25 of them are literally their domains expired years ago. But with these ones in particular that I've still got, they actually started ranking pretty quickly, and there wasn't much competition around. So there was value there. I could see loads of people were going to the websites I knew I could do something with the leads, and that's what drove me to keep adding to it over time.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean,
That's cool.
there's so many different. Yeah, I mean, over the years, the types of campaigns I've worked on just by myself. I mean, I've worked on some websites in like legal grey areas. I don't know whether it's the best thing to go into them or not, but these websites are in really, lots and lots of people are searching for them, but there's not that much competition because the legal grey areas, and these websites would probably amass, a couple hundred visitors a day, and they generated revenue for me. And that's something that I was always interested in. I was always interested in, creating these websites in niches that you wouldn't really tell anybody about them. I mean, it's not something that I post on my LinkedIn. It doesn't look really good for business that I'm building websites in, people don't know whether it's legal or whether it's not. They are legal,
Yeah.
it's just the actual service or product on the website, is the grey area. So they're the types of things I've done, to start off with in my career to really test myself. And as time's gone by, as I've started working for other SEO agencies, obviously started working with bigger clients. That's when I really started to grow with confidence with my SEO. Started to rank websites on the first page for alcohol rehab, drug rehab, loans, them types of keywords that people dream about ranking for, and that's where I really built my confidence. And I wouldn't have been able to do that without working for other SEO agencies who had these relationships with big businesses.
You had a few jobs there before you started Quirky Digital, and you're talking about the confidence that working for those jobs gave you. Is that what motivated you to start your Quirky Digital, or was it just what you wanted to work for yourself, or what was it?
Yeah, to be honest, it was a combination of the previous two jobs prior to starting Quirky Digital. I mean, the first agency I started working for was a small local agency, and they worked with probably, they had 30 clients, and I was responsible for the work for all 30 of the clients. So I was working with loads of businesses, and that's what gave me the confidence to actually manage the account, deal with clients from quite a young age. I think I joined there when I was 17, 18. I was dealing with business owners direct. So that gave me confidence to actually speak to other people, sell services. Yeah. But because we were working on such small budgets, I mean, majority of the clients were paying less than £500 a month, which nowadays you wouldn't really be able to do much with that at all, unless it was like a really small local business. But yeah, we were doing an all right job for people, but it wasn't really ambitious businesses we were working with, to be honest. So it was just people that were just happy that the traffic was going up and you were getting more leads. That was it. So that I had a lot of confidence from that, like actually in myself. But then when I took the next leap to the previous agency I worked for, I mean, that was working in really competitive niches, as I mentioned before, drug and alcohol rehab. One of the most, you can't even advertise on AdWords for it because it's such a scrutinized industry. It's probably one of the most competitive industries in the world. And I mean, we absolutely smashed it. Like, smashed the SEO campaigns for them. Had them ranking top places for pretty much every keyword related to addictions, rehab, detoxes, and just being involved in that process and taking websites from not even existing to rank on the first page. That made me think that, like, shit, I'm getting quite good at this. I'm getting quite good at this, and I knew how much. To be honest, the main thing that drove me into starting my own business was knowing how much my old bosses were making off from us, and they were serious retainers, and it was just me and a couple of other lads doing the work. We were outsourcing the content to content writers, and yeah, I just decided. I thought I know I could do this myself. I've been involved with from the sales process down to writing product descriptions, down to being involved with business developments. And I thought, that's all I really need to start my own business. I was wrong. When you do start the business, there's so much more involved. There's the accounting, there's the taxes, there's the, dealing with employees, how their problems become your problems. But I think that's what gave me the nudge was, having that experience, realizing it's not actually that hard. You've just got to have the confidence to do it. And yeah, that's it. It was just before lockdown. I had my notice in, and said I'm starting my own business, which made for a rocky first few months, as you can imagine, with people not spending any more money. But obviously, as time's gone by and we've produced good case studies for people, we've got we've got a good reputation in a local area. Things have grown nicely.
So before you made the jump, did you start prepping for this? Did you know in your head, okay, I'm going to leave, going to start building a float, going to start working on my personal brand, start creating processes, or like how did that happen? Because I remember when it happened to me, it was really stressful the first few months. And doing it during COVID, that's quite impressive, man. It's quite impressive because I know everybody pulled the marketing budget. Everyone was scared. So yeah, talk to me about the first few months.
Yeah, so it was quite. It was difficult. I mean, it was probably around December time. Actually, I took on a client while I was working at the previous job, and it was a friend's business. So we sold designer clothing, and then I had a few. Obviously, as I mentioned before, I had a couple of rank websites, so I had income coming in. It wasn't like I was starting off with zero income. I just did, as you mentioned, I didn't have a process. I literally threw my website up. I think I designed my website in like a day. I didn't really, while I was working my notice, I wasn't really working on my business that much. I was trying to keep these few clients that were paying me money on the side, trying to keep them happy. So it was kind of, while obviously working this full-time job and working my notice out. So obviously I did have some sort of processes with regards to actually implementing SEO from the clients that I had previously, but nowhere near as sophisticated as they are now. So it was a stressful time, but as I said, I made a decision in December in my own head when I took on this new client, which was quite the retainer was $1,000 a month, which was it was a good retainer to start off with. That covered all my software, and obviously I started to work on this campaign. I had quite a bit of money saved up, and then I remember it was around Christmas time. That's when I actually went out and said to people, I was like, right, I'm starting. I told my parents, I was like, I'm starting my own business. I'm fucking my job off, and they thought, you as most parents do, they say you're crazy because I was on a good salary. I was on a good salary at my last job, and it was a big risk. But they actually said to me in the end, if you're struggling financially while you're starting your business, we're here to support you. Which that made me think, right, this is the time to do it while I've got the support.
Yeah.
And then and then it was around lockdown where I decided to take the leap.
So what was the work-life balance like at that point? Like, were you working 14-hour days, or 7-hour days? Did you always have it, or?
So yeah, I mean, it was obviously that period from January to the late February. That was pretty much full on. We were working. Obviously, I was working the job. So that was 8 hours. Well, I think it was 8.5 hours a day. So still working for an SEO agency, and I'd go home. Obviously, work on my own projects, work on the retainers I did that. So it was really intense. And then I had the weekends where I would just completely relax. Pretty similar to me now. I mean, I don't very rarely do anything on weekdays, but when it comes to the weekend, I know how to relax. Obviously, when lockdown come around, that was a blessing in disguise. Obviously, it was a lot harder to find clients, but I had no outside distractions. I was literally just locked in my room with my computer, and that was it. There was nothing to distract me. The weekends, Saturdays and Sundays were spent working as well. And I'll be honest, that period was probably it was the toughest period of my life so far. But I wouldn't have been able to start the business up if it weren't for lockdown. Without actually being full into working. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think, man, you're pretty committed based on what you've told me, starting those sites from the beginning, like that, if someone came to me and said they've got their own websites and wanted a job, that goes so much further than the fact that they're on a course or they're going to do an apprenticeship or whatever. Yeah, I mean, so how many random domains do you have? Do you have loads of random stuff you bought, or?
Over the years, I've probably amassed over 100 domains, but I'm quite good in the fact that I do, if I'm not using them, I take them off auto renew. So I've probably got about 30 at the minute. Probably got about 30 to 35 domains. A lot of them are just, domains which are found on expireddomains.net. I've got ODYS domains which I've bought, and I've spent a couple hundred euros on them and just not even touched them. Just for, you have a couple of beers at night and you think, oh, that's a really good idea, and then you just leave it. Yeah, you just leave it.
What do you do to relax?
Get pissed. Yeah, get pissed. That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, to be honest, most people, I mean, you guys probably the same. Most people in the industry, it's SEO is a hobby as well as how you're actually making money. So it is hard to switch off. And for me, if I have one or two beers, I still carry on working, and that's where I'll have my crazy ideas. But once you have like 3 or 4, that's when it's like, right, the laptop's going off and I'm going out to get smashed. And I've loads and loads of people in the industry I've spoke to are exactly the same. I mean, I'm into my football, I'm into boxing.
You box?
But done bits.
Decent.
Craig's a pro.
I'm a pro.
Yeah.
No, I'm.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's why you introduced them to the women out here in Barcelona anyway.
I was gonna go as a boxer as Halloween, but then I was like, do I want to be that guy? Do I want to be the guy that's kicking about, oh, I'm a boxer? So we decided to not do anything. So yeah, I didn't do anything. Didn't want to be that guy. But no, I didn't know you boxed, man. But yeah, I really struggled trying to figure out how to switch off. Really struggled. And that definitely led to a decline in my mental health. And I know a lot of agency owners and freelancers in the industry have the same issue. I've literally seen like multiple tweets today about it as well. So learning how to switch off is like so important. And I'd say even for just like anyone even working in SEO, like especially an agency, it's so intense. Some of them anyway. And there's a lot of pressure on people, especially with SEO, is because clients never really get it. So if something isn't working or you just don't get it, it can be pretty intense. So yeah, learning how to switch off is so important, and I've figured that out now, but it took me a while. I didn't find it easy to begin with at all, because I would have so many mad ideas which caused all these random domains to get bought, which caused like so much of my energy to get spread, and then nothing really get done. It sounds like you've always picked an idea, smashed it, and then moved on to the next thing. And I was quite bad for not doing that. I think that's so important.
Yeah, I think it's something that comes with time. I mean, as I mentioned, to start off with, I did have loads and loads of different ideas, and the ones I carried on running with were the ones that I started to make income from. And for me, that's how it tends to work. I'm quite I'm a person who's driven by progress, and I'm driven by money. So as soon as I see progress and money coming in, I'm like, we need to smash the hell out of this. And I think as time goes on, and you start to understand yourself more, and just like I'm into like goal setting, that type of stuff. So once you set your goals and you understand what you want to achieve, that's how you eliminate all the other outside distractions. But with us being in this industry, you spend the majority of your day on the internet researching stuff, and you see lots of different ideas. Like you might do. It happened with me the other day. I had someone inquire through my website. They put in all the different keywords they'd be looking to rank for, who the competition are. I obviously put it all into SEMrush, done all my own research. I was like, why don't I just start up a business in this niche and absolutely smash it? And that's what you like. Once you've actually, you've ranked a website, you think that you can rank a website in any niche and run a business in any niche. And for me, that's always been a struggle. I mean, when someone comes to me with an idea and it's a good idea, I'm a sucker for it. I don't think, right, I need to get them on a retainer. I think, well, we should go into business together, and that's the first thing I always think. And it's not a positive thing. Obviously, if you get it right, it's a positive thing, but you don't want to spread yourself too thin. As I said, I've got an agency which is growing. We're taking on probably 2 new clients every month, decent sized retainers. Obviously, I've got other online ventures that I'm working on. I've got joint ventures with other clients, and it starts to, it does start to, you can start to spread yourself quite thin. But then if you set your goals beforehand and you look at your goals every day, you think, hold on a minute, my goal is to hit 20K a month with my agency. Why am I spending all this time doing this? And it kind of gets you back onto your right track.
Do you mind sharing some of your goals, or are they too personal?
Sorry, mate, I didn't quite catch that.
Do you mind sharing some of your goals, or are they personal?
Yeah, I mean, I'm happy to share goals based on, business. I mean, yeah, obviously the first one I just mentioned was, obviously I wanted to get my agency to 20K, 20K a month. And funnily enough, it was something I set when at the beginning of this year. I thought I want to get to the agency to 10K a month, and obviously we smashed that. So now I've changed that. I want to get it to 20K a month. So I do sometimes go back and change my goals. There's another one. So I've actually launched a separate brand, which is a joint venture with one of my clients. I've actually set a goal, and it's a very SEO related goal, funnily enough. So it's actually want to get that so it's generating 5K a week. It's selling products to 5K a week just through Google. So that's just launched. And I timestamp all these goals as well. So it's, I know when I'm aiming to reach the goals as well. So, and I look at them every single day. So it's something, if there's anybody who listens to this who thinks that, wants to learn more about goal setting, I think in our industry where there are so many other distractions, it is so important to know what you're trying to achieve. Otherwise, you will just, your head will explode.
Yeah, I think it's really important. What do you use to track your goals or track time, time tracking tools? Do you use anything?
I don't necessarily track my time, and I'm quite an old-fashioned person, right? So I've got like hundreds and hundreds of these notebooks, and every single day at the front of me notebook, I've got what my goals are, what my upcoming goals are, what I'm looking to achieve in the next 12 months. And I write this on every single, there we go.
Yeah.
There we goals right at the front. And I look at every single day, every single night when I write my to-do list for the next day.
Do you journal?
And I don't actually journal. Although I do a lot of writing lists, I actually hate
journaling.
I hate having to think while I'm writing. Honest to God, I'm a very straightforward bullet point type person. And that,
do you journal,
that's
Josh?
pretty much it.
Sorry.
No, I don't journal, but I do a to-do list. I do the same as what Liam does. I write a little to-do list, do little 3 things I'm grateful for that night, and then just to add a bit of happiness to the day, which I found really beneficial. I only started doing it in the last maybe 3 months, but yeah. And a little bit back to Quirky Digital, Liam. How long have you been up? You've been up for about 1.5 years.
Yeah, so obviously I launched so I essentially went freelance in March last year, and then Quirky Digital was launched as an agency in May. It was a couple of months later. So it's around, it's probably around 1 year and 6 months. Yeah.
How many people have you got working for you at the minute?
So there's 3 people in house, and then we've got someone who doesn't work within the business, so that they're remote workers. So there's 4 of us. Yeah.
Okay, and are they all full time? Yeah.
3 of them are full time. Another one's part time. Yeah.
Very good. And have they been with you from the start? Like, is it a good team? Have you found any problems with any other employees, or?
No, I mean it's people So I actually started off on, like most agency owners do, you start off wanting to work for yourself, and that's the goal, and you want to earn more as a freelancer than you was working for, another agency. And then as time goes by, you get to that point where you need to make the decision whether you're going to carry on doing it alone. There's going to be a ceiling on how much money you can make and what you can achieve, because you've only got a certain amount of hours in a day. And it's kind of just, for me, it happens, although we've been running for, as we mentioned before, 18 months as the agency. Although it seems like, from an outside point of view, it feels like I've grown quite quickly. Although there's 4 people within the business, to me, it feels like it's been really slow growth, because it's been like 1 or 2 clients each month. So it's like we've only really took on new employees when we've had to take them on. Essentially when my time, I have too many time constraints, when my to-do lists when my to-do lists of 13, 14 hours, that's when I think to myself, right, how can I delegate some of this time? And so we've recruited quite naturally as well. So we've, for example, we've just took on a content writer. That content writer was doing freelance work for us previously. So it's people that, apart from Ben, who's the apprentice, it's not people who are completely unaware of what we do. It's people who understand SEO, and it's people who, might have worked with our clients before. And I'll be honest, not come across any problems with the team. I think I'm quite an easygoing boss, but with our industry, you've got to be flexible. So I don't say to people, you've got to work 9 to 5. Work when you want, as long as it gets done. And that I think that approach is perfect. And I think if you're like that with one of your employees and you're paying them well, and obviously they're happy with the work that they're doing, then you won't have any problems. You won't have any problems. What about you? Obviously, what about yourselves? What have you guys noticed as you've been recruiting?
So I'm really fussy when I'm recruiting. Writers especially, like we've got a writing test, and I'd say a good 90% of people fail one part of the test. I also told you we done the disc stuff. So yeah, on Indeed that we make them fill in this questionnaire. And it's simple stuff like, would you rather hand a bit of content in late? I got this from Matt Diggy, this question. Would you rather hand a bit of content in late, but fully complete, or would you rather hand it in on time but 80% complete? So it's questions like that. Most people, well, they think it's a trick question and don't answer right. Even if you put it in brackets, it's not a trick question. Answer this specifically, and they'll just skip it, and that annoys me. So there's loads of stuff like that. If they get through to the writing stage, the recruitment test, most people fail it, man. So we're really strict with our writers. The management test or the proofreader test, that's even harder. And yeah, we definitely noticed. I've done a lot of interviews as well, like video interviews, and you can just tell when someone's bullshitting on the call, or hasn't. Like, I did a sales interview, and I asked the guy what we sold. He didn't have a clue. I'm like, why am I on this call with you? You should know what I sell and what it is I sell, and yeah, it was just bad. So, does that answer your question?
Yeah, I feel it has. It's given me a good understanding. It's good to know. Yeah, it's good to know how people think. I mean, the way we approach it is it's very personality based. It's based off the personality, and
I'm not
whether
like
they align with our values. I mean, I'm guessing obviously with the cyber service you provide with content writing, it's very specific. People have got to get that right.
yeah.
And we've been quite fortunate with content writers that we've actually, don't get me wrong, we've used loads of freelance copywriters. I've over the past 18 months, I've probably used about 25 different content writers. And there was one in particular who done really good work for us. delivered it on time. Everything that she was writing was ranking. Obviously, we were given lots of different research. Everything she was writing was ranking. The clients were really happy with the content, and so we hired her full time. We hired her full time, and for me, I didn't really have to be too stringent with recruiting her because she'd already done really good work for us. It was just a case of seeing whether she'd fit into our business. And for me, like the type of culture I'm trying to create in my business is that nobody thinks I'm their boss. I think, I want everybody to feel like they're on the same level. Obviously, you've got to have respect for people who are senior to you. But I don't want anybody to come into work thinking they can't say something to me because I'm the boss. So we created a culture where we just rip the shit out of each other. And that's literally it. Someone can come in and call me a knobhead and I wouldn't care about it. And that's what we do. We just take the piss out of each other, but we get the work done. And obviously recruiting, I don't want to sound sexist when I say it, but a lot of girls I've worked with previously, it's hard to have that type of banter with people. So that was the key thing for me, is if I'm recruiting a female into the business, they've got to be able to, to handle banter and have a laugh. And that's what I'm trying to create, is a place where people can come into work and you can have a laugh, and we do good work for people. So and I think that's how that improves people's mental health. Although you might be having a laugh with them, but if they go into work knowing that at some point of the day something really funny is going to happen.
Yeah, and I like that though. That's what my job was like, and I like that. But do you not think that's you're going to run into issues? Like, do you not think that's going to cause you an HR nightmare at some point?
I feel as if we grow to the stage where we've got let's say that we've got over 10 employees, and there are people, I've got other people in management telling other people what to do. That's where them types of issues do crop up. And I've worked in agencies where them types of things have happened before. I just feel as if the direction my business is going isn't, we're not planning on having massive amounts of staff, but we're planning on working with big businesses and doing really good work with them. But having a limited number of staff with people that we outsource work to. And I feel as if at this stage, obviously, there will be times where someone might say something that's, that they shouldn't say, which might be over the line. And that I'm sure that will crop up in the future. I mean, I've said stuff in the past which I probably shouldn't have said.
Same, man. It's human. It's human. I've definitely been there, and I'm like, shit, did not mean that, or I just forgot where I was for a minute. But yeah, I've been there. Everything that I've done though, I've managed to fix and just say, oh, I'm sorry. I don't do anything bad, but it happens. Like, you maybe say something someone interprets the wrong way, especially over Slack. Like, the amount of people see in the beginning, like, I'm a really dry texter, like really dry. So it sounds like I'm pissed off when I text, and I'm totally not. So I've had issues like that in the past, like the most minor things. But I guess I'm online. I'm just online. We don't have an office, so it's kind of more prone to happen. But yeah, like HR is a funny one, especially if you're chilled out. Need to be clued up. What would you say the biggest mistake was you've made so far?
So biggest mistake that I've made in my career, or biggest mistake?
This thing.
Quirky Digital.
Yeah, in Quirky Digital, growing the business.
To be honest, it's quite a common answer for agency owners, and it's to start off with. I used to try and please everybody. So if somebody would come to me a budget and they'd say, right, we've got £750 a month, I'd try and make that £750 a month work for them. So we'd get the website ranking, don't get me wrong, but we'd over deliver, and we'd probably do like £3,000 a month worth of work just to keep them as a client, just so we can say we've done a good job for them, to keep them happy. And we've done that with quite a few clients to start off with. I mean, we would literally just over deliver, and then that becomes the norm. They expect that type of service the whole time, even once you get them ranking. And that, for me, that caused, I had a couple of months where we didn't actually lose any clients, but I fired the clients because there was that much friction. They were happy with the work we were doing, but they thought that the sales had dropped off because I wasn't giving them the attention that I was previously giving them. And
you fired them?
I fired the clients, yeah. I said, we can't.
How was that? Nerve-wracking?
The first one was nerve-wracking. And then once you've done it a few times, it's a bit like,
it's just, yeah, you don't care.
It's business. And to be honest, when I look back, and as I've done more work on myself and the business, they're the people who didn't have similar values to me. They're the people that didn't think the way I think. They were just, ultimately, SEO for them was a tick box. And it might be marketing managers that I was working with, not necessarily the business owners. They didn't really care that much about the business that they were doing the marketing for. And it just caused friction, and it was a difficult few months. And it probably lost us. Although, you know, that was revenue, we were probably losing money on the projects. And I speak to people probably on a weekly basis. I mean, through LinkedIn, I get other SEOs message me sometimes about, you know, problems that they have, you know, as they're starting their agency. Most of the time it's freelancers, and they say, how do you deal with this type of scenario? And it's always to do with, you know, it's always to do with what the client expects and what the expectations are. And I was always, that, you know, them problems I've had was my own fault, because I made the client expect to have, you know, that much work done for them on a small budget. And you can't run a business like that. You can't run a business like that.
Nah, it's good you identified it. I mean, I've made those mistakes. I probably still make them sometimes. Sometimes it's quite hard figuring out how much to charge for certain projects, because we get some weird content requests in, and some that require more research, and it's quite easy to underbill sometimes. But yeah, it's good you identified it and dealt with it. I don't think I've fired a client before, you know. I've fired people, but I've never fired a client. Nah, but it's different though. We're in different lines of work. You're fully managed service, so yeah. So okay,
definitely, yeah. It's a strange one. I mean, with you know, with client, when you're obviously doing client work, I think as time goes by and you work out who the actual clients that you want to work with are, it becomes so much easier once you fire clients to actually spot them types of clients in the future. So when you get an inquiry through and you have a Zoom call with somebody, or you meet them face to face, you kind of get a good idea of, you know, what type of person they are and if they're going to end up like that. So, you know, it was a difficult few months, but you do learn from it, and you know how to spot them clients, and you don't take them on in the future. It's simple, yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. I do get that.
And so Liam, you've been in the SEO industry for about 7 years. What advice would you give to somebody that's just starting off, and where do you think the SEO industry is going in the UK at the minute?
Yeah, so advice, something Craig touched on it earlier, is, and it's something that I always, when I get, I mean, quite often I get like other businesses come to me and say, can I have help? Like, people have asked me to help them recruit SEOs for them before, which is quite strange, because obviously I know people within the industry locally. And the first thing I always say is, I mean, a lot of the jobs that people put up are on entry level, and the people that go on to do good things in the industry and, you know, who can actually really make a difference are the ones that have their own portfolios of websites, and being able to prove that you can rank a website at the top of Google. Look, this is the website that has been built. This is what we've done for them. This is where we are now. That says so much more than a degree in digital marketing, in my opinion. It says more than actually, to me, if somebody come to me and, you know, if they had a year's worth of experience, but they've got a portfolio of websites that they've ranked at the top of Google, compared to someone who's got 10 years worth of experience, but they've got no portfolio. They just worked within agencies, and that's just what they've just worked in agencies that have helped these businesses get up there. The guy who's got the portfolio, regardless of how much actual work and experience he's got, for me, that's the type of person that I know will fit my business anyway, because we're quite, we're curious. We don't just do what people's competitors are doing to get them ranking. We try our own stuff. And, everyone that is doing really good things in the industry now, who are making a name for themselves, are them types of people who don't just do what, you watch on YouTube or what you read on forums. It's people that try things for themselves. So, similar approach to what I took. It's, build your own website, learn how to build your own website. If you've got no money, build it and start throwing links at it and, uploading content to see where that gets you, and just keep testing. And I think, unless you can maybe get yourself in a position where you're working under, an SEO expert, and maybe you can get an apprenticeship, or you can, be their junior. I think that's the best way to go.
I've got one more question, then we should probably wrap it up. But see, how at the start you were building your websites and stuff. Did you burn through a lot of money? Because I burnt through a lot of money, and I think someone new might be quite scared about investing in a domain backlinks, because if you want a good backlink, you need to pay for it. It's going to cost you a bit of money. So for someone to just getting started to put their money where their mouth is, it might take quite a bit. Did you burn through a lot of money, or did you know this is going to rank? I'm going to make it rank?
Yeah. So just obviously to start off with, the types of websites I was working on, they were local websites. So it was, we'd literally pay for. I remember even just buying that first domain and buying your first tools for yourself, and not using,
expensive.
it's expensive, and you're not using somebody else's. It is expensive, and that is a risk in itself. But the types of websites we were creating, they were local. As I said, I was writing the content myself. I was building the citations myself based on what the competitors had. I was going through it and doing them. And then I actually got to a stage where, the money that I was making from that, I was reinvesting into these other projects where, nowhere near as big a budget as what we're working with now with our clients. But it was like, I could probably afford, £300-400 a month, where I could just put towards these projects, because I was actually making money back from them. So to start off with, it's, it is a risk to buy the tools, even to, WordPress themes. If you're not a developer, you've got to buy a WordPress theme. So there is some sort of risk attached to it, but it's all about making sure, that money that you make, you don't go out and spend it. It's reinvesting it into the projects. And I think that's probably where I was quite fortunate, where I've always, pretty much since the beginning of, when I took on that first role, I always had an income coming in. There are lots of SEO people out there that literally are starting with nothing. They might have left their jobs, or they've been made redundant. And that I can imagine that's a difficult place to be in. I was quite young, so I'd always would have had the roof over my head. I was still living with my parents at the time, so I didn't have massive financial outgoings. But whereas, if I was to do it now, and if I just started off in the industry now, I'd probably have to get in some sort of debt in order to do it.
Yeah, I definitely went into debt, which wasn't the cleverest of ideas, but young and dumb. Yeah, no, this has been a good podcast. You've given me some ideas actually as well. Like, I think what I might do, maybe put some big discounts on for new people in the industry that want to start their own site, and give them a couple of free links from content. I don't know, have a look, but I would definitely be up for helping someone that's brand new that wants to start their own site, because if you're going to do that, I respect that, and that's what I did. So yeah. Any last questions, Josh? It's been a good podcast.
Yeah, just a last question. I want to start doing this at the end of every podcast. But Liam, you seem to be a really ambitious, interesting guy. So if you could pick one book you could read for the rest of your life that has given you the best value, what would it be?
Just one.
Just one, just the one.
Just one. Wow. I would say there's a book. I'll grab it for you now. It's sat right there.
Can you see me shivering? It's suddenly gotten really cold.
Craig, you're in Barcelona. Come on.
No, it's really gotten cold here. And the wind from the sea's hitting me as well.
This book it's a new book. It's not like a typical self-development book. But
Okay.
for somebody who's in our industry, this is gold dust. It's called Bootstrap Your Life.
I've not read it.
It's by Oliver Cookson, and it's not like a typical self-help book, but it's the guy. He actually created My Protein, and he's a web developer. He's a web developer by trade, and it literally talks about how he turned £500 into 350 million, and he literally starts off with a bank overdraft. And there's for somebody who wants to get into the digital industry, there's so much in there, and not just about the digital industry, but about business as well, and personal developments. So yeah, that book, it is. It's
yeah,
it's
man, I was trying to think where I heard that before, but you told me about this at the SEO Underground event, and I wrote it in my notes, and I was reading through because I've got a list of notes of just books that I want to read, and I was literally going through it last night, and I seen that was in it. So yeah, it's a good book. I'm definitely going to order it because I remember you were talking about it big at the event as well. But yeah. I think it's time to wrap up. A really interesting podcast. It's really, really good. I think we could have talked for another few hours there, just gone back and forth. But yeah, Liam, if anybody wants to reach out with you, what's the best way to get in contact with you?
Yeah, LinkedIn is probably the best place. It's where I get back to people quickest. I've got so LinkedIn. My name,
Liam Quirk.
Liam Quirk. If you go through my website, you'll go through a contact form, and there's a big list of contact forms I need to get back to at the minute. So people just whether people want to talk about SEO, if there's anything that they've listened to on here and they resonate with, and they want to have a chat about it, just reach out to me. I'm all for. I've been in a position before where I started off, in the industry with just an idea in my head of what it was going to be like. So more than happy to help people out.
Awesome.
All right.
Cool.
Perfect. All the best, guys. Bye.
Right. Thanks, Liam. Bye.
Brilliant. Good to speak to you.